What is up, guys? Welcome back to another travel related video. So for those that are new, my name is Paola and I absolutely love to travel and share all of the information that I gathered for my trips with you guys in the form of tips or travel vlogs. If you are somebody that loves to travel like me, go ahead and subscribe and turn on that post notification and leave a huge like on this video. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I went to Curacao for my birthday back in February. And I had an amazing time. I got so much good footage, so many good pictures, and I was so excited to come back with a travel vlog for you guys. And then literally a week later, I had to factory reset my iPhone and I lost everything. Every single picture, every single video, everything that I needed for the vlog was lost. It broke my heart. It's like the trip didn't even happen. Oh my god, I was really upset for a couple days, but hey, I didn't want to leave you guys empty-handed, so I decided to come up with this video and give you my top 10 kind of tips and things to know before you visit Curacao. So if that's something you're interested in, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, number one, we're going to get into the background of Curacao and just a little explanation before we get into the other stuff, because kind of lays the foundation. I think it's important to learn a little bit about a place before you decide to go there. So Curacao is a beautiful small Dutch island about 90 miles north from Venezuela. It is right outside the hurricane belt, which makes it a perfect travel destination any part of the year because you don't have to worry about hurricane season. Literally almost never rains there. The weather is absolutely perfect as well. It's usually in the mid to high 80s, definitely hot and a nice getaway, especially from the cold. It is part of the Dutch ABC Islands, so its sister islands are Aruba and Bonaire, and then Curacao being the sea of the ABC, obviously. Alright, now let's go ahead and move on to point number 2, which is money. So I'm going to be talking about the currency and kind of the cost of things. So the official currency of Curacao is the Netherlands Antilles Guilder. And then this is what a bill from their currency looks like. Now, although this is their main official currency, don't worry if you are traveling from the US. The US dollar is accepted basically everywhere. I didn't have any trouble at all everywhere that I went paying with US dollars. I didn't actually exchange money at all. I think I exchanged some just so I could take some back with me. But as far as exchanging to pay things there, don't worry about it. Now let's go ahead and talk about the typical price and cost of things there. Now obviously this might vary depending on where you live, what country you live. But if you live in the US, the prices in Curacao were basically about the same as most US cities. For a 4-night stay at a pretty decent hotel, it was about $1,000. So I think that's pretty average to stateside prices. And that was for a more like resort style beachfront hotel. But you could definitely find hotels and Airbnbs that are cheaper. You could get a decent like quick meal for like $10 a person. Or if you go to a fancier restaurant, a meal could run you about $800 for 2 people. So it's really about the same. I wouldn't say it's more expensive or cheaper than a basic day out and things in the US. Now moving on to tip number 3, where to stay during your stay in Curacao. Willemstad is the capital of Curacao and it's located in like the southeast area, and that is the area that I highly recommend you stay in just because that's mainly where everything is going on. Curacao is not that big, it's really tiny and everything is mostly concentrated in that area. I personally stayed at the Renaissance Resort and Casino and I absolutely recommend it. I loved my stay there. It has a perfect location. Everything's mainly concentrated there, so a lot of the things there will be walking distance or very easy to get to, which is a huge bonus with staying in that area. Let's move on to tip number 4. Although I do say that a lot of things are walking distance, I do recommend a rental car when you go there. Taxis there are not as common. I didn't see that many as compared to other like tourist places that I've been to, as well as they are super expensive and kind of overpriced for what it is. So you'll probably save a lot of money by renting a car anyways. For 4 days, I paid $165 for a just very small, like a compact rent-a-car. So like I said, for a small compact car, it's very inexpensive and it's probably going to be a lot cheaper than getting taxis. Although the Willemstad area is pretty easy to walk around and just navigate by foot, there are some beautiful locations on the north end of the island that I'll talk about later that you do not want to miss, and you definitely need a car to get to. So even if you don't rent a car for your whole stay, at least rent one for a day or two so you could check these places out. I will say that one thing with renting a car and getting around, the only navigation system that worked for me out there was Google Maps, and even that was a little like wonky sometimes. So depending on your service and your service provider and all that, you want to make sure that it's good to go before you leave a location with Wi-Fi. Alright, now on to number 5, how to communicate in Curacao. This is something that I was actually pretty surprised by. I didn't know much about Curacao before going there, so I really didn't know their history and their background. Like almost everybody there is bilingual. As long as you know one of these 4 languages, communicating there will be easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. So since it is a Dutch island, Dutch is the official language. It is what is used obviously for all like administrative and legal matters. But then there's Papiamentu, and this is the most common and most used language within the locals of Curacao. It's such a beautiful language. It's made up of like a mix of Portuguese, Spanish, Dutch, and African dialects. If you speak Spanish, it is very easy to pick up and understand most of it. And then the other 2 languages that are spoken is English and Spanish. So if you speak any 4 of these languages, Dutch, Papiamentu, English, or Spanish, you will get around just fine in the island. I basically spoke Spanish the whole time and got by just fine, but English is very common as well. Most of the population there speaks like multiple of these languages, so it's pretty cool. Now on to number 6, which all my foodies will love. We are going to be talking about the food there. So obviously it is an island, so seafood is their main, like what their main dishes are based around, which kind of sucks for me because I don't eat seafood like that. So I really didn't try a lot of like, not so much native dishes, but like a lot of the food there because a lot of it did contain seafood. But it's obviously not all seafood. They do have a lot of Dutch inspired food there, and if you don't like any of that, no worries, because at every restaurant that I went to, they did have a wide menu of, you know, if you just want steak or a burger or something like that, you can find that in their menus as well. They even have like a KFC and a Pizza Hut there, so a lot of like common fast food places that we find here in the US. Obviously, I don't recommend that. Definitely try out the native food there, but if you're somebody that just likes chicken fingers and mac and cheese, you'll be okay. Right now, on to number 7. This could be a pro or a con. It really just depends on who you are. I don't want to sound like I am dissing Curacao. Like I don't want anybody to feel disrespected by my next couple of comments. So I just have to put that disclaimer out there. It's just based on how I like to travel and the things that I like to do when I travel and the kind of traveler that I am, if that makes sense. Like I said, disclaimer, this is not a bad thing. It just depends on what kind of traveler you are. This might be perfect for you or it may not. But I do want to put it out there so that way people are aware before going there. So there isn't much to do in Curacao. And if you are looking for a very relaxing, zero worries in the world, just a time to de-stress and relax and lay at the beach all day sipping on blue Curacao drinks, this is absolutely the location for you. But now if you like a more adventurous, fast-paced vacation like me, like I really go to explore, not really relax, then you might be, I don't want to say disappointed, but you might find that this really isn't suited for you. The main things to do there is obviously a little bit of sightseeing, a lot of beaches, and then you could do a lot of water activities. Stuff like that they sell packages for, you know, no matter what island in the world you go to. But that's really about it. Now, don't get me wrong, I still recommend Curacao. I think it's beautiful. But since I didn't know that ahead of time, I didn't, like my trip wasn't, I don't know, it didn't live up to my expectations as much as I wanted it to, because I went with the expectations like I did for Tulum and Bali, and this is completely different. So would I go again? Absolutely, but it's just knowing what you're going into and what you're getting into, and knowing that this is more of a relaxing vacation rather than an adventurous one. Now moving on to number 8, and that is that it is not as busy as is sister island of Aruba, which is, I guess, a more sought after destination than Curacao, which for me is an absolute pro. The less people that there are when I go to vacation, the less crowded that it is, the absolute better. That means that I don't have to get up at the crack of dawn to go somewhere, because I know later in the day it will be super busy and crowded, and I'm not going to be able to get good footage or good pictures or just enjoy it without it being super crowded or a lot of people there. Right now, moving on to number 9. So we talked about a pro, now let's talk about a con. It's not really, I guess, and it was kind of bad for me. This is more of a informational fact, I guess, something that I definitely wish I would have known beforehand, because it kind of ruined my birthday. We'll get to that in a moment. So number 9 is that places out there close early, like relatively early. Even like the night scene, restaurants, all that, they close. I mean, I would say at a decent time, not super early. The stores definitely, like clothing stores and all that were in the area of my resort, they closed pretty early, like 6, 7-ish. And then restaurants a little bit later, and obviously nightlife a little bit later as well. So on my birthday that day, like during the day, there was a lot of activities done early, and then by the time I got back to the resort, I was tired, so I took a nap. So I woke up a little bit late, and then, you know, I needed to like start getting ready, and it was my birthday, so I wanted like a full glam. And then by the time I was done, it was like 10:30 p.m. which I know is kind of late, but I figured when I go to places, especially like tourist area, it really doesn't matter what day it is. Like, it's Sunday, okay, yeah, to the rest of the world, but in a tourist location, like Sunday is just another day to make money, you know? But not so much there, because literally not a single restaurant was open. Which restaurant, okay, I understand. So it's like, fine, like I'm just not gonna have a birthday dinner. I'm about to start drinking on an empty stomach. And then we go to where we wanted to go out, and it was closed, and it was only like 11, and it was closed. And then we went to another spot, and that spot was closed too. And then as we were driving around, like it was a dead island. Literally nothing was open, gas stations, no, nothing. We literally had to drive back to the hotel and ask a person at the front desk. Even the bar at the hotel was already closed, so we had to ask somebody at the front desk, kind of like, is there anywhere that we could find food, like any 24-hour spots? And there wasn't any, but there was like a food truck that stayed open kind of late till like 2 a.m. I believe, and I wish I could remember the name so I could include it in here, because that was literally the best food I had the entire trip there. I went to really nice restaurants and everything, and my favorite meal out of the whole trip was that from that food truck at like 12 a.m. But yeah, and during the weekdays as well, I know for sure like the stores were closing early and stuff like that. So that's just something to be mindful of. You know, out in the States, we're used to being out till like 2, 3, 4 a.m. and that's just something that's not common over there. Definitely when you're planning your day out, know what time places close, so that way you don't show up there and it's closed and your birthday gets ruined and you just eat a food truck and go back to the hotel and get ready for no reason. And we finally made it to number 10. Now this one's gonna be a collection of places, beaches, restaurants, nightclubs, everything that you must see and that I recommend. In a perfect world, I would have all of my footage to insert here of all the places, restaurants, and all that stuff, because I feel like a lot of them I did forget the names to. So this might be a shorter list than I anticipated for. But regardless, I hope that it's still helpful. But also, if you do end up going and you're staying at a hotel, ask your front desk. Obviously, the locals know their island the best, so they're gonna have amazing recommendations. And we made it to the end of the video, guys. I really hope this video was beneficial to you guys in some way, shape, or form. I'm so sorry that I didn't have a vlog for you guys, but this just means that I have to go back again so I could get you guys a vlog. If you guys have any questions at all about Curacao, let me know, or feel free to DM me on Instagram. I can't wait till this whole quarantine and coronavirus crap is over so that way I can get back to traveling and exploring the world and sharing my memories with you guys. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to turn on that post notification, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.